Hello, my name is Muhammad Nazil Ekitami, and together with my partner Tyler Leclerc, we created a blog-based learning environment to support listening comprehension for EFL students. Probably you are wondering what EFL means. EFL here means English as a foreign language. And then in this project, listening comprehension that we focus on is listening on monologues such as speeches and lecturers. Now, let's get started from the problems that we have identified. The first problem is that listening is the most fundamental skill in English second language learning. However, most research, teaching, and assessment have long overlooked this skill. The second problem is that in non-English speaking countries, such as in Indonesia, where this study has been conducted, listening skill is merely measured by standard tests, such as TOEFL and IELTS. The third problem is that foreign students who score high in TOEFL still encounter difficulties in understanding English lecturers' speeches and other monologues. The next problem that we found is that EFL students are less motivated in listening. Because what? Because they think that listening is the harder skill to learn compared to other skills such as reading, writing, and speaking. The last problem that we found is that EFL students have little opportunity to hear native English speakers directly in their daily classroom activities. Therefore, we came up with these conceptual solutions with hope to help EFL students improve their listening skills or listening comprehension skills, especially in listening to monologues. The first solution that we offered is by scaffolding listening comprehension and skill by following the taxonomies of micro skills in listening. The next one is by doing intensive and extensive listening strategy. The next one is by engaging EFL students in a collaborative, meaningful, fun, and challenging learning environment by integrating game elements into the learning environment. We are honestly inspired by Dr. Kopcha in this class 6150, how he uses game elements such as award, achievement, and badges in stimulating students' motivation or to engage students in the class activities. That's why we also try to integrate game elements in our learning environment. Next is the technological solutions. So we came up with the solutions that we use blogs as our platform of learning environment. Why? Because blogs promote positive learning activities such as student-centered learning, digital portfolio, and teachers' activities beyond the classroom wall. And specifically, we use WordPress. Why? Because WordPress is easy to use and it's free. And also, we use online videos such as YouTube and TED Talks because they provide abundant resources of English speeches. And finally, if you are curious about how our blog looks like, please visit our page at http://listeningcomprehensionpilottest.wordpress.com. And then starting from here, my partner Tyler will continue the presentation.
Once we decided to use WordPress as our blog host, we then created a blog with the idea to help students develop listening skills. We wanted to target students that had mastered their social and maybe even their academic language, but students that were struggling listening to academic language being spoken during speeches or lectures over a set amount of time. Within the blog, we wanted to use 3 tiers, 3 levels of difficulty, where there would be 2 separate smaller tasks within each tier. We would start out at the lower tier with maybe a shorter video, a video with less rigorous academic speech, and then as each tier they went up, they were presented with longer videos that would challenge their listening endurance. And for example, we could one of the students watched a TED Talk video, and while they were listening to the video, they had to identify all the morphological endings of English tenses, which are ing, s, and ed. And then once they found those words that were used, they would keep track, write them down, and put them in a post for the other students to review and provide feedback. So they would have that peer-to-peer communication. We worked with a small group of college-level students from Indonesia, who were continually and still developing their English language skills, especially the academic portion of the English skills. The results, we as teachers were able to quickly identify successes and areas of need within each post, and if need be, we were able to provide feedback where if they struggled a little bit, we could suggest maybe watching the video again and reworking the post another time. We were able to specifically target different skills, like identifying the morphological endings of words and knowing what those endings mean and how each ending changes a word. So we as a whole class were able to provide quick and helpful feedback to relieve confusion, but also acknowledge successes. If a student was needing to watch a video 3 or 4 times at the beginning, but later on was able to master a skill after watching the video 1 time, it's a quick way to acknowledge that and let your students know that they have succeeded in learning. We were also able to model appropriate means of internet use, target safety, and peer-to-peer and peer-to-teacher communication. Here's an example. On the left, we have a Task 1 Level 1 post from one of the students, and they were identifying word endings with ing. And then over here is 2 teacher feedbacks that acknowledge the student's post and acknowledge the student's learning. Lessons learned. We were able to identify that the students were able to work at their own pace, at their own time. However, there were certain students that did not have all the required technology, and it was a little difficult for them to post and provide feedback with other students. So that is a challenge that you will have, especially if you are living or working at a school with higher poverty rates. Also, this kind of goes with the second one here, if not all the students have the technology at home to combat that, a teacher can provide brief classroom time for students to post their responses, and students can also develop their academic language skills. While many English language learners can master their social language skills, many struggle to pick up and kind of mask their difficulty with the academic language. Tool evaluation, the positives. It's free, it's quick and easy to identify. Students can identify their mistakes. They can develop their communication skills. For the negatives, they're not able to hide their responses, even if they want to keep it private. Students can copy. You can't control the language use, and students who don't have a computer at home can't fully participate always. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to our presentation. Goodbye.